What do you make of RFK and vaccines and what he's saying about it and the position he's been given in this incoming administration?
Well, he wrote a book saying that Tony Fauci and I kill millions of children and make billions of dollars with vaccines. And people can judge for themselves whether that's correct or not.
Hi, I'm Dr. Brian Thornberg, and this is part 6 in the polio vaccine series. I have covered that there was simian virus 40 in the polio vaccine, and I want to bring it to a more current issue and something that's been in the news more recently, and that is the COVID vaccine, specifically the Pfizer vaccine. The Pfizer vaccine, when it was manufactured, they used an SV40 promoter enhancer sequence. This helped replicate the vaccine itself because you have to grow a vaccine inside of a biological agent. In this case, this promoter was used. They report that they removed the promoter. However, it's absolutely impossible to scrub all of the DNA or RNA from a vaccine in a manufacturing process. We just don't have the technology. So when they say this, I have doubts just given the technology. I'm not calling them liars, but I don't understand how this is possible given that we don't have the technology to fully scrub it. Certainly we can scrub it better than they did back in the 1950s and 1960s when the polio vaccine was manufactured and initially presented to the public. But here with the Pfizer vaccine, I believe that the SV40 promoter sequence can be wrapped up in the lipid nanoparticle and then enter the nucleus.
About the SV40, which is simian virus 40.
Yeah.
When that this was part of the development of polio vaccines back in the early 50s.
Yeah. Well, they used to use monkeys.
Yeah, before DNA was even discovered.
Yeah.
And we're now finding some studies seem to be indicating that at least some of the vaccines have this stuff in it. Is that correct?
The regulator. Well, some people deny it. They said there's not enough of it, and it's just a promoter. But there's lots of other things hanging around.
Okay.
And if you were
this particular thing, Jerry, this SV40 is SV40
Yeah.
is linked to cancer, isn't it?
Yes.
So it's cancer causing.
Yeah.
So SV40 is from this virus, and this virus has a protein which we know is cancer-causing. That sequence for that protein was not in any of the vaccines. What was in the vaccine was what's called the SV40 promoter. So that's a bit of a sequence that says, make me. So it's sort of referring to making that protein, but it wasn't the protein itself.
Okay.
Now, that promoter shouldn't have been in the vaccine. And the sequence that the Pfizer, this is the Pfizer vaccine, they submitted a sequence to the European medical regulator saying, this is what the vaccine looks like. And with these sequences, you can put them through a computer machine, and it will look at different parts of it and label them up, saying, well, this bit does that, this bit does that, this bit does the other. And the SV40 promoter would have been labelled up when they did that, but somebody edited it out. And they gave to the European Medical Agency, they gave them a map of what was in that sequence with the SV40 edited out. But they also gave them the full sequence data. So they can say they disclosed it, but they didn't really disclose it. And that SV40 promoter shouldn't have been there. It had no purpose being there because there were other promoters that said, make me about the spike protein, and another promoter that said, make me about an antibiotic, which was one of the other steps in the manufacturing because it's made in a bacterial vat. So yes, the SV40 sequence should not have been there, wasn't declared to the regulator, and any bit of DNA that says, make me, has a potential, hypothetically, of causing cancer, because cancer is when you have unregulated growth of a cell, and if you have a bit of sequence that ends up inside your cell that ends up saying, make me, about something that makes your cell grow, that's a cancer risk. And so that's why people have raised the concern about cancer in respect of this. And what we haven't yet seen happen, which is really urgently needs to happen, is that people who've had cancers after the vaccine, those cancers need to be sequenced and studied in a laboratory to see if that is what's happening in these cancers. And so that's a big unknown that remains. And I'm not saying that this has caused lots of cancers. I'm just saying that there's a huge question there that needs investigating.